All right, so the main indicators I'm looking at, guys, for my entries and exits, I trade heavily moving averages. I mean, I hope you guys listened to the last video in relation to this. I'm not going to cover everything in detail again, but what you're going to see on my charts that I posted, my intradays, um, you guys are going to see I have the 8, 20, 50, and 200 moving averages, and then I have the an indicator called the volume moving average or volume weighted moving average. It's similar to VWAP. It imitates like a band on VWAP. And I just use it as a indication that something could be happening, and I'll explain that later. Okay, great. The stream's live now. Yay. Thank you. But the reason I'm gonna talk about SPY today here, if you look up in the charts I posted above, those are the dailies for JNUG and JDust. The last couple days have been really boring. There's been some consolidation going on. And we'll kind of see what direction gold goes, with things happening at the G7 and the North Korea meeting and things like that. That's what's really going to affect gold prices, big political things and economic moves. And I feel like we've really been in a holding pattern recently, and same thing with interest rates. If I have to get off and like hop away for a second to grab my parrot, most of you guys know I have a parrot. If he starts squawking, I'll have to get him so we can keep talking. But so the moving averages are going to be the beginning part of my strategy. Like I said, the 8, 20, 50, and 200. Along with that, I'm going to use ADX. And that's going to be the three lines you see, the orange, red, and green. They basically indicate the direction and strength of a trend. I'm not going to necessarily go into all the details on that, except when I'm looking to enter and exit using it. And then, of course, RSI. I'm always using RSI. So, this strategy, if you're going to trade the equities themselves, the advantage to the strategy is you can use a lot of money on every single transaction and scalp small profits, let's say 1% to 2% profits every day, up and down, short and long. If you start getting into something like, as you get more advanced and you start looking at things like options, especially on SPY, you can be making a lot of money. There's a lot of liquidity, and one to 1.5% move in a market price on the equity could be astronomical gains on the correct option. So of course, that's another advantage to the strategy is day trading options and capitalizing on more profits there. But okay, what am I looking on for an entry? So the first intraday chart I posted was JNUG. So for me, my preference is to short JNUG when it's bearish instead of going long JDust, which for the people that don't know, JNUG has an inverse ETF ticker that does the exact opposite JNUG does. So if JNUG's going down, JDust is going up, etc. For me, I feel like the volume and price action is more fluid and consistent on JNUG. JDust is like super gappy. The volume isn't as heavy because the price is a little higher. So JNUG's just my preference. So for me, my baseline when I'm first thinking about am I going short or long is where's the 200-day moving average? So the 200-day moving average for me is going to be my number one deciding factor on what I think this stock's going to do. If we're opening up below the 200-day, I'm expecting things to be relatively bearish on the day. Obviously we're always looking for a break, in a bullish run, but realistically, if you're opening up below the 200, you're going to be bearish, throughout the day. And so that's my thought process going in every single day. When the market opens, where's the price in relation to the 200-day moving average? So on Friday, we'll see that it opened up relatively below the 200-day, relatively below all its moving averages and gap down. So for me, that's a short, automatically. A lot of people don't like to trade first Like in JNUG, let's say on Friday, you could have taken a pre-market position at like 1410 short under the 200-day moving average, and held that pretty much throughout the first half of the morning and made good money there. Or of course traded the options on it and charting farther out time frames, 3 and 5 day charts and picking price action below that. SPY tends to be the so the other thing I'm looking at, of course, with JNUG is divergence. So as you go through on that first chart I posted, as we get later on in the morning, you're going to see the price action where I drew those red lines. The price action's making lower lows, and the RSI is making higher highs. For me, that starts getting my attention for a long position, right? As it should on any. 9.6 million shares. So there's a lot of volume, coming in. And then same thing with SPY, right? Tons of volume. So you're not worrying about a market maker coming in and like making this thing move. This thing is just going to move. And so you're going to come in and take a large position and scalp small profits out of it. Let's see here. Yes, okay. Sorry guys. Yeah, I'm like running a lot off my computer right now. If my signal's cutting in and out, it beeped on me like 100 times, so I had to like stop touching my keyboard for a second. All right, can you guys hear me? I just turned push to talk off, so my computer didn't have to process all that while I was typing. So, like I said, the action on JNUG has been dead the last few days, so it's been kind of a poor example. I'm expecting a big move to come soon. But technical analysis is super easy. But okay, what am I looking for? My number one position. My number one position I'm always looking for is a reversal. And the indicator I'm using for that reversal, I talk about it in the JNUG room all the time, is the D- cross below the ADX. So I'm going to post an example right here of a chart that I have in front of me. This happens to be TVIX, just because I'm looking at it. Okay, that little red circle, that's my favorite indicator. That right there tells me, all right, go long. And I play that every single time it happens. Okay. For me, that's just my personal favorite. It has the highest success rate, especially in combination of a super low RSI, something coming from under 30, that's maybe making a double bottom or something like that. But I play that indicator every single time. And as you can see in TVIX in this scenario, if we would have taken that position at 42, let's see here. where was it at? 42.29. I mean, we could have sold that at the 200 day for over 43 bucks just on that big spike if we were super smart. But it's just a great position to go long for me. I mean, how about you guys? What are you guys looking for? Oh, I'm looking on the 1 minute, 2 minute, and 3 minute chart. I'm referencing all three of those time frames when I'm taking a position. 1, 2, and 3. So I'm just looking to see if someone's typing a question in here. But yeah, trying to find a reversal, that's my favorite. Yeah, the 8 MA crossing the 20 MA. Of course. I mean, that's from my original video. Of course, that's something I'm looking at. Like in our case on this TVIX chart, not only did you have your DMI indicator cross, right? Then we had divergence, the double bottom on the RSI in price. Look at the divergence there. I mean, all day long, that's a great play. And these ETFs are going to give you those plays every single day. Every single day you're going to get these. On TVIX, SPY, JNUG, JDust, DRIP. There's guys that play DRIP a lot. USO, UCO. All of those ETFs that are tracking either an exchange or oil or gold, some type of commodity, you're going to get this type of price action every day. And as you get better, playing options, that's when you're going to make huge profits. That's when you're going to, your price action, you get 1.5% gain in your equity price, but your contract's up 70%. That's the beautiful thing about the options in learning to play those on things like SPY or JNUG or etc. Like I said, this really wasn't intended for me to just sit here and talk all day. If you guys if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. But this was just, I have a lot of questions about what I'm looking for when taking an entry. When do I know when to get out? Okay, so that's gonna depend on the type of entry I took. Okay, so for me, I'm using the DMI indicator often. And if I'm getting a cross, so like in our instance on TVIX in the chart I posted, once DMI minus and DMI plus came together and started twisting and twirling around, for me, that's like, okay, we're getting into congestion, right? This is just going to sit here and grind. I'm going to begin exiting. The other thing I'm going to look at is RSI. I mean, when you're day trading or scalping, you should always be using RSI. If you have a high RSI, get out. Take your profits and get out. Especially in this type of edge. This type of edge is made for multiple entries and exits. Yeah, above 70, especially on the 1 minute chart. The shorter the time frame, the higher or the more extreme your RSI indicator is going to be. Like on the 3 minute chart, very rarely does RSI break over 70 intraday. But on the 1 minute chart, it definitely will. Do you think a false signal when DI cross and back it up? Oh yeah, false signals all the time. Like, you're not going to predict the future, guys. I mean, the stock market's a random event. So yeah, there's going to be false indicators and things like that, but that's why you have a stop loss, right? I mean, so your risk reward on this type of strategy is, you're looking at a stop loss to 2 cents, let's say. 2 cents you get out, right? I mean, I'm cheap. So 2 cents is good for me because I can always buy it again. I'm not like trying to like have a crystal ball and make predictions about what it's going to do. I'm only trying to take advantage of multiple technical indicators and placing a bet on those. That's all you're doing. Like, I don't know what the future is going to do. So when I see the indicator, that's telling me, all right, Skylar, I have a 70% chance of making money right now. That's it. 30% chance I'm going to get a fake out. Okay. That's fine. You take your loss, whether it's 2 cents or hopefully maybe break even. And so, you're looking at somewhere, if you're playing JNUG, somewhere for me, 2,500 to 4,500. That's what you're looking at. So on the TVIX chart, that circle I made, no, that's an indicator I'm looking to go long. So what that's telling me is the red line is telling me that that is, it's in a downtrend. So when the red line is above the green line, it's the direction, negative direction, it's going down. And so when the when the DMI minus, that red line, crosses the trend line, which is the orange line, basically the direction is weaker than the strength, I'm looking at taking an entrance, all right, because it's telling me, okay, the downtrend is getting weak. It's going to begin a reversal here, okay? And it's gotten weak enough to where the reversal is most likely coming. You know, of course, you can get a double or triple bottom after that, you know, but your hopes are that you're taking an entry so low that the double and triple bottom are a cent or two higher than your entry. So you never, you know, you can have a stop loss at your entry, hopefully, or maybe just below it. You know, and again, like I said, it's not about being the smartest guy on the street. Like, oh, I'm going to, every single trade I make's green. No, that's not, you know, you take your edge, your strategy, and you apply it the same way every single time, you know, and 70% of the time it works and 30% of the time it doesn't, you know, and you hope that when it works, you're making 14 to 20 cents a share. And when it doesn't work, you're losing 0 to 2 cents a share. That's the idea, you know. So that's my favorite indicator, that right there. Like in that, and you can take that indicator on all time frames. So like one thing I was quote unquote pumping this week was JC Penney. Like JC Penney, I was pumping it because that indicator was given on the daily chart at $2.34. You know, if we were to go look at JC Penney, let's see here. And I knew that they had a new CEO and some other stuff, but let me show you what I saw. Just a second. So look at that JCP daily chart. Do you see the D cross? Beautiful. Just beautiful. Yeah, absolutely target. So, you know, I'm definitely always paying attention to what the RSI is saying. Always paying attention to what the RSI is telling me. If the RSI is making a lower low and the price action isn't, I mean, that's another tool in your toolbox, right? Like, okay, there's some bad divergence happening here. You know, is there a rug pull coming? You know, RSI is like it's like the calm before the storm. It's like the smell you get before it rains, right? And you can, you know, kind of do with that as you see fit. You know, you see that divergence coming without the price action. You know that either a pop's coming or a rug pull's coming based off what that RSI is doing. You know, and that just takes your chances and elevates them. You know, I'm not saying that the DI cross is 70% accurate, but the DI cross combined with looking at RSI and paying attention to moving averages. If you're referring to the one that happened before, I never will take a position in congestion. So all three of them were all commingled together. That tells me the stock doesn't know what the hell's going on. So I'm not going to pay attention to any of that. You know, I don't pay attention until they're nice and spread apart and they're easy to pick apart. You can see, okay, this was coming out of a huge downtrend, right? The D minus was just astronomically high. It started coming back down. The price action had consolidated here in the 230 range below the 8 MA. And then boom, D minus cross at 2. I think the actual price it crossed at was 234 or 238 that day. And then, I mean, now look at it, just rocket ship. You know, and again, that's not, you know, that thing isn't the greatest indicator in the world. It's not going to make you money every single day. But if you learn how to apply it appropriately, you can find that perfect setup. Okay, for me, that's a clean reversal. Whenever I say clean reversal, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's a clean reversal happening on any time frame. But for me, that's my favorite. I don't, and so that was really that was my 2 cents to talk about in this class, was what my favorite entry is and how I take it. At the end of the day, okay, there you go. Look at Luke. I mean, beautiful, 78% win rate. All right. And at the end of the day, sometimes you're going to make a trade. It's going to be 0.5% gain. It's profits. Sometimes you're going to make a trade. It's going to be 4, 5, 6% profits. All right, wonderful. The goal is make more green ones than red ones, bigger wins than losses. And then as your capital grows, your daily income grows, and just apply the same strategy. All right. And don't think you know more than the market. That's why I love Mark Douglas. Like, if you think you know more than the market, you're going to lose. You're applying your edge to a random event. Yeah, it should work. It works the other way around. Absolutely. So that's the other thing you can look at when the D plus crosses below the ADX and the stock was doing the opposite. It was running, right? You had price action run. D plus crosses below the ADX. That's telling you, okay, the bulls are getting weak, right? The uptrend is getting weak. People are taking their profits. Let's go short. Short the next price spike. Poop. Same strategy, just the other way around. Okay. And you can do it both ways. If you're a bear, then that's fine. You just do the exact opposite. You take the position in the exact opposite indication. And, you do it both ways. You make money both ways. So for me, that's as complex as my chart gets. I don't have like clouds and dots and spectacles and lines and grids and all sorts of all that other crazy stuff on there. That's really all I'm looking at all day. And it's just, like Luke said, 70-something% win rate. So. Does anybody else have any questions? Comments? What are they looking at? Anything like that? Things to add that you think are helpful? Oh yeah, JCP is great. Still super bullish on that. Yeah, I mean, they got a new CEO. There's all sorts of things. I think JCPenney was a great reversal. I wanted to touch $3. Yeah, so Luke, it's just like any indicator. When there is a lot of congestion, that means, whenever you have multiple indicators and they're all together, whether you're looking at moving averages or you're looking at your ADX DMI lines, when everything's all pinched together, that's basically telling you, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to go up. I don't know if I'm going to go down. I'm going to do something, but I don't know. And so you wait for that confirmation. You either wait for that higher low or that lower high before you go long or short. You don't try to minimize the amount of trades you make in technical congestion, because you're just pretending to know something that you really don't know, because there's multiple things happening. Wait for it to tell you the clear entry and exit. Like, we're not in a race to who can make the most trades in a day. Let's wait for the best trade. Just wait for the best one and you go heavy on that one. When you apply this, you have 8 ETFs up on the day, whatever ones you like: DRIP, JNUG, TVIX, SPY. You have those up every day and you prepare to make a large transaction on them, because one of them is going to give you this indicator every day and you go heavy on it. Yeah, great. Try it on SPY options. Yeah, I mean, you'll make great profits. So just this is just how I do it. This is what I look at. This is my edge. There's a million people in here that trade and they all trade a different edge. This is just mine. And it works for me. It works for me on all time frames. And it keeps me looking at less things during the day. Yeah, and that's what I look for. I look for simplicity. I don't want You know, the more things you're looking at, the more opinions you're going to develop. And you don't trade with opinions. You know, you can't trade with those, because then that, you know, you're trading with bias, and we all have enough bias just being people. You know, so you got to try to stick to as few clear facts as possible. Take your entry and be prepared to get stopped out. Don't plan on making money, because then you hang on to a loser. You know, if it makes a lower low, goodbye. After your entrance, a lower low comes, goodbye. Get out and wait. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, RSI, that's why it's the most widely used indicator, I think, probably for any trader, period, outside of an actual chart. I mean, you don't even need to look at a price chart. You can trade off RSI probably just blindly. Yeah, I'd imagine. You know what I mean? If you're looking at it just from a probability standpoint. Yeah, so with RSI, you know, I definitely am looking at oversold and overbought areas, because I think if something's overbought, like if I'm looking at trying to go long or short, let's say I'm getting the indication, okay, you know, your indication to go long is coming. Boom, there's a D cross, right? The D minus below the ADX. It's telling me to go long. And combined with that, I have an RSI of, let's say, 20, super low. It's like an elastic band, right? Hopefully the lower the RSI is when I catch this reversal, the longer my profits can run. That's how I'm looking at it. You know, I'm pulling this thing out of the deepest pits of the ocean. You know what I mean? Versus just kind of in the surface. You know, I'm pulling this thing out of the gutter and riding it all the way up, combined with my DMI ADX, you know, indication. You know, the same thing with going short. I mean, if I take a short position, if my short indicator's gone off, right, D plus is crossed below ADX, and my RSI is 85, right, this thing's probably going to flip. You know, it's probably going to tank hard, versus, let's say my RSI is at 50, right, and it gives me the indication to go short. Yeah, I can probably scalp a small profit out of that, but having that higher RSI is going to lead me to believe that I have more profits coming, or the probability, or it's just a better setup risk reward in general. I mean, I guess that's who you talk to, XSAT. I mean, for me, absolutely not. I mean, the 1 and 2 minute is all for me. Trading on the 3 and 5 minute, I feel like I'm 100 years old. Watching the candlesticks on like the 5 minute chart, like I feel like I'm watching paint dry. But that's just me. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, like trading off that time frame. I mean, there's people in here that trade on like the 15-minute chart and they make money. That's great. That's wonderful. That's just me. You know, like I got to be looking at something, like I got to be doing something in front of my face. But I'm always referencing, you know, longer time frames, because you always want to know where the stock is in general, right? Not just where it is in the moment. Where is it in relation to the rest of its life? You know? Am I resistance? Am I at support? You know, like look at JNUG right now. JNUG's been boring, but it's also at like a really good support. You know, like possibility of accumulation here, maybe for a pop. Who knows? You know, but that's kind of what it's looking like. Yeah, absolutely, Luke. Good suggestion there. So whenever we're looking at going long, the inverse, if you can't short, you know, dust is definitely a better option than J dust. Like I said earlier, J dust is super gappy. The volume's lighter. You know, your fills are just not as good. Versus dust has a steadier price action. You know, so that's always nice when you're trying to be bearish on gold. But that's what I'm looking at, guys. Like I'm not overthinking it. You know, you just got to apply the edge every day to the same thing, you know, and don't think that you're super smart. You know, just do it. You know, try to be as robotic as possible. Because the times that you don't do it, it's going to run and you're going to be like, damn it. Why didn't I take that entry? It told me to. You know, those are the ones that you don't take always run. I mean, okay, so good question. That's another question I want to answer because I don't know. I day trade it. Like, I don't, who knows what gold's going to do. I think there's a lot of stuff happening in the economy. Uh, I'm bearish on the economy midterm, which is going to be good for gold. But of course, with Fed rate hikes going up, it wants me to be bearish on gold. So I think a lot of the economy is standing on stilts right now. So we'll kind of see what happens with tariffs and stuff like that. But I just try to day trade it. In the day trade, when there's days with a lot of strength, when we get lucky with 4, 5, 6% runs, you just go so heavy on those. You put it all in, and take advantage of it. Yeah, FOMC is coming up, but I'm trying to understand your question, Huang. Do you wait D-cross DMI or about 2-4 entry? Like, am I using it? Do I wait before I take my entry? Yeah, generally I always wait for the cross, because the times you don't wait for the cross, it ends up like getting rejected and doing this weird little like, oh, it never crossed, and then you're stuck in a bad trade and you're like, oh, I should have just waited for it to cross. I've been doing this long enough to where I hadn't been patient. There's too many times I've taken way too early of an entry, like so many times. So I just wait for the confirmation to come when it comes to using my indicators, because the times you think you're smart, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to catch this bad boy early. You don't. You just catch bags. And you're like, oh, thanks. Thanks, I took that too early. Congrats me. Absolutely. So I'm always looking for 1%. So wherever the price is at, I'm looking for 1% of that. And so if 1% comes, you definitely always want to take half off the table. Immediately take half off the table, and then see what your indicators are telling you. If your indicators, if they're telling you that it's getting toppy, just take it. Will you be on the JNUG voice chat next week? I will be here in the next probably 3 to 4 weeks. I'll be on voice a lot more. I will be in the mornings until probably about the first hour the market's open. Then I got to get my kids to school and all that kind of stuff. Do you like JNUG when it's going sideways? Or I like JNUG all the time. JNUG's my favorite thing in the world. Like JNUG, I like JNUG no matter what it's doing. I always like JNUG. JNUG's it's like chocolate. You know what I mean? It's good for you. It's bad for you. It's the best things life are made out of. Absolutely. That's the only way I do it. I only short JNUG. I do not play the inverse long because I don't mind shorting it. The fills are better. The volume's great. That is absolutely my preference, is to short JNUG. Yeah. I only tell people to use dust or JDust. Like if you can't short, like if you're on U-stock, then and you have to use the inverse, then that's fine. Do it, because it's just, it's just as good in a roundabout way. But my preference is definitely to short. Just because you're going to get way better fills, way better volume, and you're just looking at less things. Do you know how nice it is? You can sit down and make 6 trades and only looked at one chart the entire day. You're like, okay, I didn't even have to look at anything else. I just looked at this one chart. And made 2 or 3 scalps off of it, on big positions. That's pretty much all I got, guys. If there's any other questions for me, of course I'll answer them. I guess the only other indicator I really want to talk about, and maybe there's someone on here who's super smart like Ziggy. I know Ziggy's listening. And that indicator I use, the volume moving average, I want to look more into it and kind of figure out what a script would be for that for the people on TOS, because it is amazing. It acts as support and resistance very, very, very well, intraday and on the daily. It's an amazing indicator.
Yeah, Lucho, I'll talk with you about it after class because I don't want to have it in the live stream because it makes confusion people. But I do absolutely. It ties into volumes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Yeah, so that indicator, if you look on the charts I posted, like on JCPenney, there's a dark blue line where the price action went and touched it, act as resistance multiple times. That isn't a daily moving average. That's actually a volume moving average. And it acts similar to VWAP. I don't fully understand it, even though when I use it to trade, but it works wonderfully.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to even answer GSCT because it's like not even worth going into. Cause it's more
no, absolutely, absolutely.
This is a great conversation.
We'll come and we'll talk about that indicator later when we learn more about it. But just know that it is something that's on my chart. You know, and I am using it, and it works. Whenever the price action, I use it to double confirmation. Like if I have a downtrend, DI cross below ADX. So my ideal situation that we talked about, and then you combine that with the price breaking over that volume moving average. In my experience, that's where the rocket ships are. That's where the huge runs come. When you have a combination of those two things, it's great. I mean, it's a really bullish move that I've experienced, and you get the largest gains out of the week on moves over that line. With that confirmation. So, but I mean, that's basically it for me. I'm looking at Fidelity. So Fidelity is my main trading platform. I do chart on TradingView every now and again, just, you know, for, you know, swings and things like that, because I do use their screener or their scanner. So I will chart and stuff in there, but 90% of what I do is in Fidelity. And of course, you know, guys, I'm on here every day. So do you look at $1.50 as support and resistance? You know, I look at moving averages and I look at previous price. That's the only thing that matters to me when it comes to figuring out support and resistance. So, you know, down to the cent. You know, like let's say like JCPenney, for instance, like I posted on my stock twits that I'm going to buy that over 258. Over 258, that was it. Like not 258, because I knew that if 259 came, the price it was going to run. You know, because it was just multiple. It had been tested as resistance multiple times. So you know, no, I definitely go down to the cent. I try to be accurate. You know, when you're looking at that stuff, I try to be as accurate as I can, at least. You know, but moving averages are my. You know, I definitely trade moving averages heavily as part of my strategy. You know, and I look at those as support and resistance and breaks above and below. But if that's it, guys, I guess we can end it. I don't know, or let's see, Target's good. Okay, well, thank you, Target. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's simple, guys, and you guys just keep practicing. Man, I trade with you guys in JNUG every day, and you guys are rock stars. Like from the last 3 or 4 months, I mean, the profits you guys make are ridiculous in that room. Every single day. But no, you guys are welcome, and you know, thank United Traders admin for having all this and a place for us to talk and stuff like that. But feel free to, you know, you guys can always reach out to me in the JNUG room. That's where I am. You guys may never see me in the trading floor, maybe once a week or something, but I'm always in the JNUG room. You know, trading in there and trying to trade ideas and things like that. But, you know, and if anything comes up, just let me know. But I look forward to the market open Monday. And, you know, I just ask people, especially new traders that are trying to find an edge, you know, just do this for a week. Just do it for a week. Take a week, take 2 weeks, even if you want to do it on your paper account. Just do it. I know it sounds like you know, people are like, oh man, I'm not getting 15, 20% on a trade. That's fine. Just do it. You'll have more green trades than you've experienced before. Just apply the strategy. You know, it's a microcosm of the stock market, and you can take that and you can trade and you can apply that strategy to multiple equities across the market. I appreciate it. That's the stuff I like to hear because I mean, this edge is what changed things for me. I mean, obviously it's what I trade every day. You know, and I wasn't some genius that pulled this out of nowhere. I mean, these are indicators that existed out in the market well before I ever came around. And I'm just glad I was able to piece it together with these high volume ETFs. You know, applying this strategy to high volume ETFs has just been a real gift and a real, it's been something that's just been great for me and the people trading in the room. But I'll get off voice here. I'll go ahead and mute the channel. I guess we can cut the stream, Ziggy. That'll be it for now.
I don't think I have access to cut. Actually, I may be able to. Let me go hop on. But regardless, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, of course. You know, I didn't know anything else really to go over. I mean, that was pretty much it. That's what I'm looking for. That's me every day, what I just went over. So.
I'm actually not even going to mess with it and try to stop the stream because JC has access to it and he'll be able to snip however he needs to. I'll shoot him a message.
All right, cool. We can talk about divergence on the RSI real quick. I mean, that's, you know, RSI is something that, you know, it's just something you have to be looking for all the time. It's easy once you get used to seeing it. You know, this chart, just remember that, right? I think this has been posted in all over this chat room, you know, a trillion times. Like that right there is it. That's the golden ticket. You know this. When that happens, any of these events on this chart, you know, you need to be applying that to whatever edge you're trading. You need to be watching for the price action and indicator divergence all the time. You know, where GSCT, I mean, it kind of depends, you know, however long I'm planning on holding the position. That's how I look at my time frame. So, you know, if I'm scalping, you know, unless I have reason to believe that something is going to be super bullish, you know, I'm always just looking for 1%. So, you know, I do stick to the 1 minute time frame as much as I can because that gives me more opportunities to capitalize on 1% moves. You know, but you do get more fake outs there. You know, so it is important to go and look at 2 and 3. But when the market opens, I'm looking at who is below and who is above the 200 every time. You know, and that's going to give me the idea of what the plan is for the day. You know, if JNUG or whatever opens up below the 200, I'm like, okay, it's going to be a bearish day. It may test 200 a few times and probably fail, and those are good places to short. But other than that, if it opens below it, it pretty much stays there. If it opens above it, it pretty much stays there. And you want to try to buy as close to that MA as possible. That's your best risk reward. You know, buying close to the 200 day is always your best risk reward. You know, because you can have a stop right above it or below it, depending if you're long or short. But that divergence, definitely just pay attention, you know, to that. I don't know a really good way of explaining it that well besides, you know, price action, lower lows on the price, higher lows on the indicator. You know, higher highs in the price, lower highs in the indicator. Those are the things to look for. Yes, that indicator is referring to RSI. basically what you need to do, KJ34, is if you look at the chart every single time that the D cross pattern like I applied up there, there's an entry being taken. I mean, that's the edge. You know, I'm not looking at a lot. Like, that's the edge. I'm not looking at a lot of things. Yeah, that's what it is, GSCT. I'm pretty positive. You know, it's a very interesting indicator. It works really well. And Fidelity did just come up with it with an ADX scanner. So I'm going to try it. I just got an alert today that they put it on their real-time analytics. So we'll see how well it does. I'm curious on Monday. Yeah, definitely. You guys try to find alternatives for that, because it has definitely been a godsend for me. Using it, applying it to my technical analysis. It just seems to be super accurate. You know, and it was one of those things I kind of stumbled upon. I was actually looking for VWAP, and I had just stumbled upon that indicator, and was like, oh, let me try this out. And the moment I put it on my chart, I just saw how accurate the price action was reacting to it. I was like, okay, I guess I got to keep this now. Yeah, that's fine. I like Fidelity better. I'm Fidelity all day, every day. I don't care what the haters got to say. Toss is cool, but Fidelity's better. I love them. I give them that online love. So that's how much I love Fidelity. I'd be shouting them out on Twitter. You know, I mean, I just think they're a great platform. Their level 2 is amazing. They have historical tape. I can pull up the order book, historical order book up to like 3 months out on almost every equity. I love them. Yeah, of course, that's definitely nice. You know, what's really funny is if you have like a cash account, you know, you can actually play this strategy on Ustock Trade really well, and you can just day trade cash all day and be cash at the end of the day and not even worry about margin. You know, I do know a lot of people that are trading it on Ustock, and they have good fills, and you can just day trade your butt off. You know, day trade until you're blue in the face. Your same cash, you know, you just can't short, so you just got to play the inverse. But outside of that, guys, I'm going to cut out of here. But of course, reach out to me, you know, if you guys have any questions, you know, any ideas or things, you know, things that you're looking at in positions that you'd like to maybe bounce off of me. You know, if you want to come into the JNUG room every day, there's tons of talented traders and they're trading this strategy. But yeah, I mean, that's about it, guys. And I just appreciate United Traders having this platform out here for us to chit chat on. And I'm always on here, even if you don't see. All right, you guys can just reach out to me directly, or always do an @me in the in one of the rooms. But thanks, guys.
Vice versa. To you, Lucho.
Yeah, no, of course, bro. I appreciate it, Zig.